To be a Raven, a true Raven, you gotta be a little fucked up. Your brother comes in and tell you, like, yeah, I'm gonna have to do something else from now on. We're gonna go on this run, but this is it for me. We were like, all right, it's potential Ray Lewis last game. We could beat the shit out of y'all.
Antonio Brown.
He tortured me during his duration in Pittsburgh. A player like Myles Garrett, I'm finna start my campaign to free Myles Garrett, but it's gonna be in purple and black. You know what I'm saying?
Justin Tucker. I mean, did you ever expect this white dude who plays classical piano that he would have just like such an undercover
sing
freak
opera
inside of him as well?
Sing opera.
Take a look around. Ain't it funny how feels like we're in a good old days. Go and grab a cup, go and fill it up. Cheers to living in a good old days.
Welcome to Glory Daze with Johnny Manziel, presented by PrizePicks. We have an all-timer joining us today. Two-time Super Bowl champ, Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time Pro Bowler, one of the greatest Ravens to ever lace them up. T-Sizzle, my man, how we living? How are things?
What's happening? Johnny Football, we living it good, man. We doing pretty good, man.
You know, let's talk. We got to talk about this. My Heisman year was 2012, so 2013 was, I guess, my year of finding out the perks of being
The
a
Heisman.
football star, a Heisman winner. Like, I'll never forget my first Super Bowl was first ever one I went to was 2013. You know, you guys versus the Niners.
Oh, and that was
New Orleans. In New Orleans.
Yeah.
So, you know, before y'all had a wild card matchup against the Colts, you know, Ray Lewis comes into the locker room and tells the team he's retiring at the end of the season. You know, what do you remember most about that moment? A guy who had meant so much to Baltimore, so much to the team, to a defense that you're on, and he's like, yo, this is my last run. You almost want to have to send this guy out with a bang and in the best way possible.
So we knew he had gotten hurt, and, you know, it was nothing new to us before. One thing we forget is that, you know, our time in the NFL is brief. You know what I'm saying? But here is a guy, like, from the moment I stepped in the locker room, he was like a big brother to me. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen him do some of the most amazing shit I've ever seen a football player do. You know what I'm saying? And just his knowledge of the game. And, like, your brother comes in and tell you, like, yeah, I'm gonna have to do something else from now on. We're gonna go on this run, but this is it for me. Like, I remember, like, Haloti was sitting next to me, and, like, we couldn't believe what we were hearing. We thought, you know, our general, you know what I'm saying, Maximus the Great, you know what I'm saying, was gonna play forever. We thought, we really took each other for granted, like, thinking that we would always play for, you know, together. You know what I'm saying? We're always gonna all be together. You know what I'm saying? And he told us, and it, like, the room was just so quiet. Like, we couldn't even have a team meeting, like, after that. Like, Harv just dismissed us. You know what I'm saying? He announced it at the beginning of the meeting, and we all was just, like, so stunned, like, we couldn't believe it. But we were like, all right, like you said, if this is his last run, we damn sure not losing on Sunday. We're not going to lose Ray Lewis' last home game. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way in the world. Like, Indy didn't have a chance. And it was our old coach, Chuck Pagano. Like, they didn't have a chance. They didn't have a chance that game. We're not losing Ray Lewis' last game. So we got that one done. Then we had to go, you know, playing Mile High, gets paid.
What a crazy game. I mean,
game.
I'll never forget that last player, like, you know, the last touchdown to, like, that ball's hanging in the air. And as a defensive player, God, you're sitting on the sideline, like, as the ball leaves his hand,
that's pick.
Being a defensive player, you're like, that's going the other way, we lose.
That ball was in the air for so long, we were like, that's pick. Like, all right, defense, get ready. And Jacoby caught it. And the crazy thing is, like, people don't know about this. People forget about this, like, 2 or 3 weeks before, they had just blown us out in our own stadium. In the fourth quarter, when Harv took all the starters out, they was up like 38-3. They were beating the shit out of us. You know what I'm saying? And so we had to go and play them again there. And they scored twice on special team. They scored the opening punt return back, and then they scored the kickoff back first play of the second half. They took two. They scored twice on special teams. What people don't know is, like, they don't score on special teams. We win that game in a landslide. We went out there, we were like, no. It's potential Ray Lewis last game. We could beat the shit out of y'all. So people always give the DB who got beat deep, they give him crap.
Yeah.
But people never mention, like, Peyton played, like we had Peyton's number. We had his number. He threw 2 picks, and plus the game-winning pick. You know what I'm saying? This is like one of the best quarterbacks of all time. You know what I'm saying? Kicked his ass. Then we go in Foxborough. You know what I'm saying?
And they had beat you guys the year before.
They beat us the year before. I'll never forget this. Like, after we beat Denver, I'm getting on the bus. I'm like, yo, we finna go get this Lombardi. Ed Reed stopped me. He was like, Sizzle, we've never won the Lamar Hunt trophy. And I get goosebumps thinking about that. It's like, yo, you already talking about the Lombardi. We've never had the Lamar Hunt. You know, the Lamar Hunt trophy you win in the AFC. You know what I mean? AFC Championship. Special trophy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want the Lamar Hunt trophy. You know what I'm saying? And when Ed Reed said, they were like, Sizzle, we never won the Lamar Hunt. We got to win the Lamar Hunt. And I was like, bet. So it was like, when we found out, you know, we playing New England, it's like we're going back to the scene of the crime. We are going back to the scene of the crime. And we
13-7 at half. Brady was 67-0 at home when leading at the half. You know, you're obviously only down a score. But
you're down a score.
You're down a score, but you got a little tension. You got a little urgency of like, all right, we got to really lock it down here. And we're going against a guy who doesn't get locked down very much. But that Lamar Hunt trophy is on the line. That trip to the Super Bowl is on the line. And you're going against the guy who's been doing it since 2002, 3.
2001.
Well, yeah.
2001. So they were winning at half. Like, we had like some miscommunication on the goal line. They scored right before half. They up 13-7. Shut them out in the second half. Bernard Pollard, I don't know what he did. He just clocked in and just started hitting everybody. Then all of a sudden they didn't want to catch the ball no more. And, you know, Joe Flacco was in rare form. Anquan Bolden was in rare form. Ray Rice was in rare form. Dennis Pitta, it was just like the stars aligned. You couldn't deny us.
How was holding that trophy though? When you finally got the AFC one and you go from that moment that gives you chills to you actually are sitting there center stage with it.
I always say this. I'm not gonna say it's better than watching your child born, but it's close. Oh my God, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world when that clock expires and all your confetti come falling down in your colors, and it's just like, yo, you do something, it's the ultimate team sport. Like, you can't do it without your team. And for you to achieve something so great with your teammates that you've been bleeding with for like 10 years, 10, 11 years, you know what I'm saying? Y'all been chasing this, you know what I mean? And to finally get it done, and then to send your leader and your big brother, your general out the right way, it was a magical moment, man.
PrizePicks is America's #1 sports pick app. Holiday football season is upon us, and there's no better time to join than now. The app is really easy to use. To make a lineup, all you got to do is pick more or less on the player stats, and that's really it. Plus, PrizePicks is available in 45 states, including Texas and California. And best of all, PrizePicks will give you $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you're getting $50. Use promo code Johnny when you download the app and sign up today. You can also follow me on the app at Johnny Manziel. You get my picks in real time and see who your friends are picking in your feed. So here's my lineup for some huge conference championship games this weekend. I'm taking more on Georgia QB Gunnar Stockton's rushing yards, more on Bama QB Ty Simpson's passing touchdowns, and more on Indiana QB Fernando Mendoza's passing touchdowns. Let me know what you think in the comments, and tail with the one-click direct in the app if you want to join me. Feeling good about this weekend. These are all winnable, so let's go make some money on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, man, it's good to be right. You go to the Super Bowl, right, and you play against a team that, man, Kaepernick, explosive, an offense they had with other Harbaugh. You got brothers facing off in the Super Bowl. They had a really, really explosive team. A team that...
They had a great team.
I mean, they ran
had
to
a
some
great
good
team.
people in the NFC side of things.
Yeah, they
too.
did. Yeah, they did. They they had Vernon Davis at tight end. You know what I'm saying? They had Crabtree on the outside. They had the other
Who's the running
Frank
back?
Gore was still there.
Frank Gore.
They had a very dangerous team. Like, we were really concerned. So, but it like I said, it all worked out, especially General's last game. It was really all of our last game together because, Ed Reed went to Houston after that too. So
as the lights went out, what do you guys feel as the lights go out? As you have that moment, it was just wild.
It was crazy, but we thinking like, all right, they'll get them back on in 10 to 15 minutes. Now, did we think we would have to like wait an hour and have to warm up again and all that? Like, no, that's crazy. Like, we didn't think that. And of course, we had our conspiracy theories. I thought, Roger Goodell had his hand in it, you know what I'm saying, trying to rig it or trying to cover the spread or something in Vegas, you know what I'm saying, because that Super Bowl was going to be a blowout. But the lights went off, and we ain't been the same since.
Man, so. Jacoby taking that ball to the crib in that game was legendary.
Hell yeah, that was legendary. And like, it was dope for Jacoby, rest in peace, you know what I'm saying, because he was from New Orleans. For him to have the kind of game he did in his home state, you know what I'm saying, in his city, you know what I mean? Like, that was magical, man. That was dope. Before he goes out there, Ray like rubs on him like, yo, you finna take this back. You finna break this. And he like rub on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ray's very emotional and touchy and all of that. But he like blesses Jacoby and he goes out and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't baseball. This ain't Babe Ruth. You can't call no shot. You know what I'm saying? And he did it. He like told him he was finna break it. He goes and break it, does the Ray Lewis dance. At this point, we like, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. We like, there's no way in the world they come back and then the lights go out. And that's the best thing happened for 49ers for their dignity because the lights don't go out. We put up 50. We put up 50 easy.
I got such a great Ray Lewis story that I haven't really ever told very many people, but I'm getting recruited by Under Armour as I'm coming out into the draft in 2014. I go to Baltimore to meet with Kevin Plank and go to a dinner. Like, they're really they want me to be in Under Armour. And maybe 15, 20 minutes into the dinner, front door of the restaurant opens and in walks Ray Lewis. And this is like Kevin Plank's like, I'm bringing in the closer to try and, I'm going to let Ray be Ray and come into this dinner with my mom and my dad and my sister and tell me about why Under Armour is so great. And he came in there and gave the most fiery, passionate speech about what Kevin Plank had done for him. The speech ends, and my mom is bawling her eyes out, crying. She's like so emotional by the whole thing. We leave there. My mom gets the first thing she says in the car. She's like, we're signing with Under Armour. I'm like, Mom, we still got to go see Nike. She was like taking tissues out of her purse. Just one of the most like pure Ray Lewis, like what you guys would see every Sunday, even during the week in practice. But like for us to see it in that setting, I'll never remember. I know he was like sweating by the time this speech was over.
He gives speeches like Captain America does. Like yo, it's like, what am I supposed to do after that? Like dude, let's go to war. Let's go do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he's got a talent for motivation. He's definitely gonna get you to run through a wall.
No doubt.
You're like, yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
What a lot of people don't know about, that season for you as well is, you tore your Achilles in the offseason, which is an injury that when that happens, you're like, damn, this is one that, automatically in your head gets you thinking, am I still going to be the same person? Am I going to be able to do the things that I used to do that made me explosive and great and give me the ability to play badass football? And you come back in week 7. How does that happen? Man, you have to have a high pain tolerance. You have to be clear in your mind. You have to make your mind up what you want to do. And like the sad thing, like the thing that was really killing me that, I had an off-season injury. I was the reigning player of the year. I won player of the year that year.
You know what I mean? The previous year. And we just lost in the AFC Championship for a second time. So it's like we are close. We're on the brink. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't spend that season on the sideline. I refused to. I know this is our year. Like, we're on the brink. You know what I'm saying? And like, I did everything. Mark Smith at our time was our trader. I did everything he told me to do. No complaining. Like, it didn't care. Like, I didn't care. I would have rather died than to not play that season, because I knew we were so close. Now, I didn't know Ray Lewis was going to eventually retire that year. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that. I didn't know that was going to be the last game I ever played with. I mean, the last season I was playing with Ed Reed, you know what I'm saying? Or all of us, Bernard Pollard, Anquan, you know what I'm saying? We lost a lot of guys after that run, you know what I'm saying? And like, I did not go into, you know, the rehab and like, you know, recovery thinking like this was our last run together, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad like I put myself through that, you know what I'm saying? And to get back, you know what I mean? Because we got that thing done. Man. And I'm just glad I did it.
We talk about another former teammate of yours who's trying to find his way back into the league, and Justin Tucker. I mean, did you ever expect this white dude who plays classical piano that he would have just like such an undercover
sing
freak
opera
inside of him as well?
Sing opera. Like, I'm pretty sure the case still going on. I don't know what Justin's guilty of or not guilty of. I just hope, you know what I'm saying? I hope everything works out for everybody. You know what I'm saying? If he did it, then he's going to have to, you know what I'm saying? He's going to have to
own up to that.
Pay that ransom or whatever. He's going to have to own up to that. Like, yo, it was a mistake. I did it. You know what I'm saying? But if he didn't, I hope he does get another shot. You know what I'm saying? If he innocent, if he found innocent, I ain't do nothing wrong, I hope he does get another shot. But also, I would say, I'm not surprised. It wasn't like he gave me some kind of, I knew he was like weird in the locker room or something, hitting people with towels or some shit. Like, that wasn't Justin. The guy sings, like you said, he sings classical opera. You know what I mean? But to be a Raven, a true Raven, you got to be a little fucked up. We all look wrong. I mean, you know us, you know what I'm saying? Have you ever seen us like our true selves, not in a uniform, not in a professional setting, we out being us? Yeah. True Ravens, we're all a little fucked up. We all got a little something. You know what I'm saying?
He was a guy that made so many, like, you guys really rode him like fucking Seabiscuit for a while to some fucking big wins, some big kicks, some like game-changing, season-changing plays from him throughout your time there.
Justin Tucker definitely saved our ass more than I can count. Monday through Saturday, I gave him shit every day. Whether he was kicking, I'm yelling shit at him. Like, I'm trying to distract him. I'm giving shit up until it's time for him to save our ass. Then I'm the biggest Justin Tucker fan ever. I'm like, dude, go win this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, Monday through Saturday, I was definitely giving him shit. Like,
you have to, man. You look at kickers during practice, and you're over there doing fucking button up with O-linemen, and fucking they're over there picking dandelions and shit, kick 3 balls during a special teams period and go right back inside and play video games.
And clearly getting the groupie love, just like the rest of it, like, oh, he plays for the Ravens. You know what I'm saying? Clearly benefiting off of being on the team and having a less physical job. Let me just say that. You know what I'm saying? His job isn't easy, because we all know how we look at kickers when they lose games. Like, you stupid motherfucker. You had one job to do. You know what I'm saying? His job wasn't easy, but he definitely got the benefit of being a Raven and receiving some of the perks and benefits. So
no doubt. You know, you expressed that you were devastated about not getting into the 2025 Hall of Fame first ballot.
Man,
you know, it's such a process, man, and there's so many guys who are deserving of it, and then it just like it's nuts. What are your initial feelings on that? And just, you know, obviously know you're going to end up there one day, but
one day, I hope so. So, you know, when I found out, you know, I was getting nominated and stuff, like, I was like, dog, I don't want to talk about it. I don't care. Like, I don't want to know. And like, that happened from whenever I was first announced all the way up to like December. Then like, I'm now thrown into it. I had no choice. It was like I was a finalist. And then I was like looking, they was like showing me stuff like, the guys, I was 8th all time on all-time sack list. So the 8 guys before me were in the Hall already. And it was like 4 guys that were behind me that was in the Hall. So I was like, my odds are looking pretty good, but I always had that feeling because, they made T.O. wait 3 years. You know what I'm saying? And, like, I always was scared, like, nervous about that. Like, they made T.O. wait 3 years, and he clearly had first ballot numbers. You know what I mean? He clearly should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I was always nervous about that. So I was just like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Then I made a finalist. I made it to the final, like, last bit of voting. And they called me. They was like, we just don't want to keep you on the hook, but you didn't make it this year. You didn't receive 80% of the vote. And I was just like, all right, who did get in? And they was like, we can't tell you because, we don't want everybody to be surprised. And I was just like, all right. And yeah, I was devastated. I was upset. And, to the point where I started, kind of critiquing like guys that were in and, whether they had playoff wins, player of the year, Super Bowl rings. And I was just like, and I got left off. And, and you can't, you can't, I had to check myself, what I'm saying? I can't have that kind of attitude towards it. It was just like, all right, God said it wasn't your turn yet. So just chill out, you know what I'm saying? But, do your due diligence. And like you said, it should eventually happen. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Adrian Peterson going through it a little bit right now too. He's first time eligible in 2027, 5th all time in rushing yards. 2 questions, I guess. Is he a first ballot guy in your mind? And will he be a first ballot guy?
It's always different from a player's perspective because we've played against these guys. And remember, like Adrian Peterson's first 8 years in the league, he like terrorized the league. You know what I'm saying? He was a very, I call like a confrontational runner. He definitely seeked out contact, and he made DBs pay. You know what I'm saying? Like if you didn't come in with the proper technique, 9 times out of 10, Adrian Peterson is definitely he's gonna run you over. He's gonna make a highlight out of you.
He's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, he's gonna make a highlight out of you. So I don't know if he's up and Marshawn Lynch is up. I'm not sure if he's up. I thought I heard that Lynch was up, but it's all gonna come down to who he's up against because it's gonna be some guys that been passed up. I think they call them like legacy guys. Like they're not like current era players. They're like previous players. So it all depends on who else is up. And like I think they only let like 7 people in. So I think he should be a first ballot, but it all depends on who's up because Torrey Holt's still not in. I think Marvin Harrison's still not in. Like it's a lot of people that should have got in that's not in yet. And I think, like I said, every year they only let like 7 go in. Yep. So it might be close.
Another guy in that kind of window that's coming up on it eventually who I think he'll get in. He's going through a ton of stuff off the field right now, but is Antonio Brown.
Oh man, he's got a lot of stuff on. Is he a first ballot?
I wouldn't think so.
Brown, I wouldn't think so. Like, but he tortured me during his duration in Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and we could never really get a hold of him. And this was at a relatively time when you still could hit. Like it was still confrontation across the middle was still kind of allowed. You know what I'm saying? But now, not so much. But it's sticky to say because, like you said, that off the field, I think they're gonna shy away from that probably until it gets resolved. You know what I'm saying? Because they let another murderer in the 90s. Yeah. I bet you if they would have waited, I bet you if they could, they would have waited. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
We might not want to put this guy in this fraternity just yet.
As they had those teams, though, and you play those Steelers teams twice a year, out of the big 3, Big Ben obviously leading the show, but Le'Veon Bell and AB, who was the guy that you guys would go into a Monday, Tuesday meeting room and be like, okay, we have the Steelers this week. Who would give you guys the most hell matchup-wise and on a Sunday?
Both of them, Le'Veon and AB. They call themselves the Killer Bees because I think they had Martavius Bryant, I think he was, like their big receiver out there. He was a fast guy, but like AB was the problem in the pass and Le'Veon was the problem in the run. And this is when we still had U personnel. It wasn't like, high flying 3 wides like it is now. This was U personnel, 2 tight ends, extra linemen, all that nasty, especially in those Ravens Steelers games. So like Le'Veon was a problem and AB was a problem. They called themselves the Killer Bees, man, and I hated everything about it.
You sacked Big Ben more than any other QB 17 times. He had to hate your fucking guts. What was that back and forth like, between the two of you guys? Obviously 2 guys who are super competitive, and listen, it was a huge matchup and focal point every time you guys lined up against each other.
After, we both done playing now, like during the game, yes, we ultra competitive, it was a rivalry game. We don't want to lose to them at any cost. You know what I'm saying? But I think off the field, like I had a tremendous amount of respect for them. I would give a lot of credit to the Steelers as my development as a ferocious player. Like I went into my offseason knowing I'm going to have to play these guys 3 times. Like to be successful, I'm going to have to play the Steelers 3 times. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think that was pivotal, you know what I'm saying, for my success in the NFL, because I had a foe like the Steelers that they were division rivals. Our teams mirrored each other. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely a heavyweight fight every time we played. It was a lot of hits. Even if you wasn't a fan of the Ravens or the Steelers, you still watch Ravens-Steelers games because it was football at its finest. It was always a game to watch. So, like, those battles was great, especially when we won them. You know what I'm saying? But they've went both ways. Like, we've won nail biters. They've won nail biters. They've won blowouts against us. We've won blowouts against them. We've knocked them out of the playoff. They've knocked us out of the playoff. So it's really... It was really a rivalry, man, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it. And like the biggest appreciation I get is when I'm in the airport or somewhere in public and a Steelers fan come up to me and was like, "Dog, I hated you when you played, but I miss you." Like we miss the old Ravens Steelers rivalry. Like to get that kind of appreciation from a rival team's like fan, like there's nothing better than that.
You played against Mike Tomlin a lot. He hasn't won a playoff game since 2017. Is this almost like an Andy Reid situation where he's like, Andy Reid had so much success with the Eagles for so long. He needs a fresh start, get somewhere else. I don't ever see Mike Tomlin leaving the sideline for the Steelers, personally.
Me either.
But if he wants to win another chip and wants to get back into the playoffs, are they even close to having the pieces to be able to do that? Obviously, you have a stopgap year with Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to come back another year? Are they good enough with him right now to do it? Like, what's the process moving forward for Tomlin and what it looks like for the Steelers to try and get back to their older glory days?
I don't know, and I'm glad that they don't have the pieces. That's our division rival. So, but I think defensively, they got one of the best defensive players in the world in TJ. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, their window is rapidly closing. Cameron Hayward's getting older. They got the kid on the other side, Highsmith, and the kid that's behind them. They're playing pretty good football, but, championship football, I don't know. Patrick Queen, Patrick Queen, the traitor, you know what I'm saying? He's a pretty good football player, but, he's a traitor. So who knows? You know what I mean?
It's tough to go from that locker room to that one,
Oh, man. It's like you can go to any team in the world.
There's 30 other ones.
You're going to go there? Like, oh, my God. I couldn't believe it. I was like, nah, that's fake. He couldn't do that. And, but it's funny you bring that up because, my quarterback, Joe Flacco, he's a journeyman. And
that was my next question.
He played for all 3 teams in the division. And I hope his next stop ain't there. Like, I probably couldn't have a conversation with him. You don't go there. It's like, it's good to socialize with those guys, like back when the Pro Bowl was in Hawaii and we all drunk at the pool and we can like laugh, you know what I'm saying? But everybody know from September to February, we hate them. And hey, we can talk about our differences over drinks at the pool in Hawaii, but that's probably the only time for peace. Hawaii's like Switzerland. You know what I mean? They're neutral.
When the Browns, obviously trot out Joe Flacco as the starter this year, he stays there for a couple weeks, and then the Browns decide to trade him. What's your initial thought when you see that they trade him to a division rival, and then he goes out and steps on the field and balls and wins a game in the division?
Balls out. Like, you have to question who's calling the shots over there at Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to, like, it's not quite the same thing, but also I think, like, these GMs need to be held accountable. Like the GM in New York who let Saquon go in the division, goes have like an MVP caliber season, and not only that, wins the Super Bowl. Like, if I'm the owner, all y'all don't show up to work. All y'all got to go. Y'all let one of the best players in the league walk out of our locker room. He goes and have an amazing season. Tarantino couldn't write a better story.
Publicly, too. You publicly go through the trade process.
Publicly go through. Oh, my God. And, like, that goes back, to Cleveland. I'm like, all right, you trade the guy because you want to give your young guys a shot. I think that's unfair to, like, the veterans on the team that, what I mean? Like, I've been in this league 10 years. I want to win. I want to win now. I think this would have been a great year for Shador and Dylan Grable to kind of, like, be behind a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Let me learn how to do things right. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, while they're starting to kind of, like, build up the Cleveland culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, you played there. Cleveland's a very loyal fan base, and they've been hungry for a winning team for years, ever since we left, ever since the Ravens left. Like, Cleveland, like, that's why it's always kind of like, I understand their rage when we go play them, because technically Jonathan Ogden, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Lamar Jackson, Jamal Lewis ended up being a Cleveland Brown, but myself, Haloti, you know what I'm saying? We all technically are supposed to have been Cleveland Browns, because that's where the team was when it moved to Baltimore. So I kind of understand, like, we're like the girlfriend that got away. Like, how dare you leave us and go have all these good players? You know what I'm saying? So
no, for sure.
It
had to be tough for you guys too. Like, as you know, that's going on a little bit. But what was y'all's mindset when you would play a Cleveland team? Right, like when you guys have a really good squad, you're locked to finish top 2 in the division, make the playoffs. You guys are going to go on a run to try and go to the Super Bowl. But during those seasons, you line up against Cleveland twice, a team that's probably 2-12 at one point, or 2-6, or 3-13, and you play them the last game of the year. But, like, because of how competitive that division gets, that they can beat you on any given day if you don't bring your A game. But they're trash.
I've never had a gimme game against Cleveland. Like, Cleveland always fought us. Like, I've never had an easy game against Cleveland. Like, I've had some good games. That doesn't mean that they were easy by anything. A lot of times I was matching up against Hall of Famer Joe Thomas. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to get into, like, Kellen Winslow. Like, Kellen Winslow was a nightmare for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he couldn't block me in the run, but I couldn't cover him in the pass. Like, Kellen Winslow, and, he had that Miami, the U swag. He'll come over to our sideline. Like, he didn't care that they were 2-12. He would walk over to our side where we stretching and be like, which one of y'all guarding me? You know what I'm saying? Like, talking cash shit. We like, dude, you 2-12. We finna fuck y'all up. But, like, he knew he wasn't no, you know what I'm saying? He knew he wasn't no factor in the run game. But when they threw that ball, Kellen Winslow was a problem. And, like, Ed Reed got a lot of picks. Like, oh, I got to help Sizzle. You know what I'm saying? If I'm carrying him or somebody up the pipe, down the pipe, man, he was like, oh, I'm going to lean to Sizzle because that's where they're going to go. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Cleveland, they're truly, their reputation does, like, it's a reason why they're called a dog pound. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to fight you. Like, and for them to have, like, I say he's the best player in the league, in Myles Garrett. For them to have him for him to have to like kind of play with having 2 rookie quarterbacks, like it's unfair. He like, you know what I mean? And Myles Garrett, he's in the trenches too. He go inside and out. You know what I mean? It's noisy in there. You know what I'm saying? His body's gonna take a toll. You know what I'm saying? It's like I think they should have at least stuck with Joe, you know, some games until the rookies were really like, as you know, this is a very difficult game. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to just go from college and get thrown into the fire and go try to win a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very difficult to win some games in the National Football League. And I just think the way they did Joe in that whole situation, it was like it put the whole team in, like, it set them up for failure, if you ask me.
There's something to be said about having a guy that you see as your rookie year who be into the room as a pro, and you be able to watch and like learn from a guy like that. And then you let him go. He goes, and the Steelers had to be looking like, come on, Cleveland, you give this guy up, and then he comes in and outduels Aaron Rodgers on a big primetime like game that they have, and it's just nuts. A lot of things haven't made sense in Cleveland. We talk about it all the time, but you speak about Myles Garrett. I mean, we watched what they did with Joe Thomas's career, and Joe Thomas is one of the best offensive linemen to ever do it, and
One of the best live.
He never got to play in a real meaningful big-time game.
It sucks. I hate that for him. A player like Myles Garrett, I'm finna start my campaign to free Myles Garrett, but it's gonna be in purple and black. You know what I'm saying? Because for that dude to be so dominant, you know, he's playing from behind a lot of the time. You know what I mean? So he's gotta do a lot. He's got to do a lot for interior lineman, and he's definitely getting in that Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt type conversation.
Sure. You know, a few weeks ago you said, I hate Jamar Chase because he's so good. I hate that he's not on my team. That is a guy that you turn the TV on Sundays and you're like, you never know what this guy's going to do, but it's going to be something, and it's going to be highlight reel worthy. Yeah,
like those phenomenal talents like him, Justin Jefferson, like they are dominating the game. I also like Amon-Ra St. Brown too. You know what I'm saying? And I really like that kid too. You know, they fired. We just got to get one of them in a Ravens uniform, man.
No doubt. How are you feeling after, you know, obviously a lot of headlines and controversy made with the Jalen Ramsey, Jamar Chase situation? If you're in that situation as Jalen Ramsey, you know, you were a guy nobody would probably even ever try that with because they're going to fuck around and find out. But if that happens and somebody spits in your face in the same way on a field, what's your initial reaction to that?
Yeah, I'm probably getting kicked out too. Like, there's one thing you don't do. You don't spit on nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do whatever you want. You can mush them in his face. And it's like a lot of that stuff, you eventually get on, and when you see each other in the offseason, you be like, yeah, you know what I mean? But now this might start something.
No, this is gonna carry over. This is gonna carry over into the offseason for sure.
Hopefully it dies down and people, they don't see each other from like another year from now. You know what I'm saying? They don't see each other in the offseason. But that might be a little sensitive subject if they ever see each other out and about. So we just hope it ends peacefully.
One of my first games in the SEC, we played Arkansas, and got to the bottom of like a big scrum, big pile, and I remember being at the very bottom, and there was 2 guys like on top of me, and it was a rainy day. I didn't have my visor on, and I heard the dude just go, and he spit a loogie right in between my eyes, bro, and it like came down my nose, like all over my face. And something.
Wait, you can't scrap because you're the quarterback.
I can't.
You can't get thrown out.
And I'm at the bottom. I'm gonna be the last one up. These dudes are already back on defense by the time I'm even out of this.
Man.
But it's something for the rest of my life. Like, I can sit here today and still like feel it hit my face, and like just the fucking worst, dude. The worst.
Do you remember who did it?
No. You know, it was so early on, I think, in my college career where like I was just trying to go out and find a way to run the offense and play to where I was like, it wasn't even like, there was no cockiness and swag and like, you know, ability to turn up on somebody that early and 3 games into my college
career. But, okay.
Obviously you guys had some intense rivalries, intense games where like, you know, you're going into Pittsburgh, right? It's a late game. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're on the fringe of getting into the playoffs and you got to go play Big Ben and Le'Veon and Antonio Brown. Like, you're going up against some guys. I mean, the Bengals had some guys throughout the time when you were there who were known as dirty-ass players, like guys who, you know, you would see clips every week. You'd be like, just the list of them. I mean, you got
You talking about Burfict?
You can talk about Burf. Another one of our Scottsdale boys.
Yeah, he's one of us. Yeah, he's one of us.
Who was the dirtiest player you think you ever went up against?
Oh man, it could be Logan Mankins. It could be Kevin Mawai. Man, it's been a few, man. It's been a few, and I'm drawing a blank right now. But but coming off the top, it's definitely Logan Mankins from New England. Yep. Kevin Mawai is pretty dirty too. He had a cross on his helmet. He gonna do some dirt, hit you in your back, all in the name of Jesus. Like, like off the field, he was the biggest Christian in the world. On the field, he was a certified dirtbag. You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy how those lines can change a person like that. You know?
Hey man, them white lines, boy. Once you cross it, you turn into a whole different person. You know what I'm saying? I found myself plenty of times having to explain myself to my mom because I said some really uncharacteristic shit, and she didn't know her son talked like that. You know what I'm saying? So I had to
not her
clear
baby
it all
boy.
up. Oh my God. If my mom never really heard the story, she would think her son was a saint. You know what I'm saying? But I think she got a real whiff of who I was. You know what I'm saying? With those mic'd up sessions.
I had Jared Allen on last week, and he talked a lot about a guy who helped turn him into the player that he would become. He said it was Willie Roaf. And I heard Willie also helped you earlier in your career, and a guy that
Big Willie. Man, he put me on some game by whooping my ass.
Yeah.
Like Willie Roaf, like I have tremendous amount of respect for Willie Roaf. He's one of those guys that I want to say, like, I tried to like get after, but he really got after me. And he had like two of his counterparts with two of the best guards ever to play too, in Brian Waters and Will Shields. So like, man, that was the era, man. And it was like you said, you know, when you playing against a guy, we ultimate competitors, you know, we modern day gladiators, you know what I'm saying? So you definitely want to give him this work, you know what I'm saying? And Willie Roaf is just one of those guys, man, that he got the best of me.
You know, for you can grow up in Arizona. You grew up in Minnesota. How was that move for you to go to a place like Arizona? You're 14 years old. You know, that move ends up changing the trajectory of your life and kind of everything football-wise moving forward.
Yeah, like, you know, in St. Paul and Minneapolis is out of 10 athletes, 12 of them are good. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the talent pool there. You know what I'm saying? But it's a concrete jungle. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to get looks. You didn't have, like, the resources and the media outlets that we do now. You know what I'm saying? So when my father moved us to Arizona, like, I had hope. Like, I was like, oh my God, year round, nice weather. And it was all these different places where you can like play and people tournaments and stuff like that. Like, my life changed significantly when I moved here. You know what I'm saying? And I would say the number one thing was hope. You know what I'm saying? It was like, my daddy got us out of the inner city. We moved in with my aunt down here. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was a tough adjustment. Don't get me wrong. Like, two families living in a 3-bedroom apartment. But I was like, I'm going to make this work, man. And like I said, it just gave me hope from the moment I got off the plane. I was like, we moved here like in December of like my freshman year in high school. So like, it was nice. We get off the plane. It was like 72, 75 degrees. And I was like, oh yeah, after leaving, you know, 10 below.
2 degree weather.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? With wind chill factor crazy, you know what I'm saying? And you come down to Arizona, there's games all the time, you know what I mean? So like it was big for like, just like, it gave me hope, man. It gave me confidence. And like, I just made the most of my opportunity, man. Like, I'm grateful for it every day.
You know, and you go to Arizona State, right? You still hold the record for most sacks in a college football season with 24. It's been 20, not to make you feel old. I'm 12 years removed from mine, so I'm not exactly a spring chicken anymore either, but that record's held for 23 years. You know, that's something that you still see holding up a little bit. There are guys that get after it, but 24 in a college football season, and you didn't have no playoffs. You get the bowl game. You don't have the opportunity to go play 17 games, 18 games.
To have a record like still up there is good, because like my kids are getting older now and they don't believe I was ever like young or had hair once upon a time or whatever. And they think like my daughter and son think they're the new wave. Like they're the stars of the family. And I'm like, dude, I was pretty good. You know what I'm saying? They like, like my daughter recently visited ASU and like saw like the records and the pictures and stuff. And she was like, oh, okay, that's nice, Dad. But, she still thinks she's the next one, the next star. But it's good that, like, I love that I achieved it, but I more enjoy it for, like, legacy. My children get to see it and kind of, like, really get to indulge in it. So I think that's the best part, that the record's still holding it.
We talked a lot about special moments throughout your whole career. So now it's time for our question of the week. Presented by PrizePicks, of course. Use code Johnny. Play $5, get $50 in lineups. But in every episode, we talk to our guests. I always ask them the same question. One that just kind of gives me a little insight into, your brain of how you see your career and your glory days. But it's, if you had to choose one word to define your glory days, what's that word for T Suggs and that kind of, sums up what your football career and what your glory days were to you?
One word. Relentless. I want to say I was relentless, and I was definitely a product of my environment, man. I think, I don't think they definitely brung the dog out when I got to Baltimore. I went from lovey lavish Tempe, Arizona to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like they're like night and day. And I had to do some growing up fast in my outside life and my professional football life. So, like, I would say relentless, man. I think I gave every game everything I had, and I was relentless with it. So
I love that. I think it's a very fitting word. More than anything, Sizzle, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on. If I'm back in Arizona, we'll have to catch up, go grab a bite to eat or something. But my man, appreciate you always. Nothing but love and respect for you, my man. We'll catch up soon. This is Glory Daze with my guy, T Sizzle, baby. You know it.